Welcome back, everyone, and it's time to go balls deep! And this week's chapter of Black Clover is a freaking emotional roller coaster.
Oh no.
In this chapter, we get some more backstory for Yami-sama, some more insight on how he met every member of the Black Bull squad, the outcome of the battle between Moris and the Bulls, the return of Yami, maybe? And the beginning of something truly dark and sinister that's about to erupt and completely change the terrain of the story. Now, I know it hasn't actually been that long since Yami was in a chapter, but it feels like it's been years!
It's facts! It's facts! It's not facts, these facts, it's not facts.
This chapter, honestly, had me on the verge of tears, and if you don't know why, then keep watching.
You can't tell me what to do!
Have you ever thought about reading Black Clover, but saw the chapter count and thought, I don't have time for that, I fall asleep too fast?
Yeah.
Well, look no further!
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that we've partnered with GamerSupps!
You what?
GamerSupps is a zero-calorie energy formula that's keto-friendly with tons of healthy supplements, and it has no carbs, no sugar, and no fillers or additives.
Wow.
This, my good friends, is the first energy drink we can confidently say is good for you, but also has all the benefits of a regular energy drink, minus all the bad stuff.
No way.
Plus, if you don't do caffeine, or have been wanting a caffeine-free alternative, there's a line of GamerSupps product just for you. This specific line of product lets you drink more water, allows you to tailor your flavor without having to overconsume any caffeine, you'll be able to drink it at night and still sleep, and it's 120 servings at 30 cents a pop. But the most exciting and important part of this whole thing, the part that will have you hooked, is the waifu collection. That's right, you can collect waifus! Your dreams have now come true! Fulfill your destiny as a harem MC and buy GamerSupps now! So, Black Clover Chapter 312 immediately starts off with an instantly emotion-stirring flashback, one that shows Yami's outlook on life and his past experiences from his perspective. It begins with him staring down at his grimoire, an empty and expressionless look on his face as he sits inside a broken and abandoned building, thinking back on all the hurtful and discriminating things people had said about him and his magic. Now, personally, this moment really reminds me of a moment in Chapter 80 where we saw the first glimpse of the sad undertones of Asta's character, as in him being crushed by complete hopelessness. The whole sequence of them both staring into the empty sky and thinking back to what others had said felt very familiar, which only further enforces the different parallels Asta and Yami have, and exactly another reason why Yami chose Asta to be in his squad. See, Tabata on that big brain, you know, which is why he's my friend.
So true.
The memory then moves to a moment we've seen quite a few times, where Julius and Yami first meet, and Julius is amazed by Yami's unique ability. But this time, we see Yami's reaction to the type of attention Julius is giving him, and he seems surprised, but also kinda happy? I mean, I'd be happy too if a man looked at me this way.
What did he say?
Hey yo, what the
You sussy baka.
We also see Noct as a child saying that Yami isn't even all that menacing. He's only pretending to be a rowdy and scary person. And that's some really good pretending right there. Look at this man. This showcases what's probably one of the more sad undertones of Yami's character, that of which being loneliness. As Yami being stripped away from his own life and being brought to a foreign kingdom against his own will makes him lonely, cause you know, he's a complete outsider. At least people with lower magic levels were being discriminated against in a group. However, Yami was being discriminated against as a lone existence. This is similar to Asta in the sense that Asta is the only one in the entire world, as far as we know, who was born with zero magic. Well, except Libe. This is why Yami decided to take Asta into the Black Bulls, as he probably felt the similarity between the both of them. Now, Yami here, he's the only one with foreign features, with a weird magic attribute that's different from everyone else around him. In a society where conforming to your class and status in life is the norm, both Yami and Asta, as well as the entire Black Bulls, stand out from the rest, labeled as outcasts. Yami put up a tough appearance to fight off not only the discrimination against him, but also fight against his own loneliness in the kingdom. The society in the Clover Kingdom was never meant for someone like Yami and could never account for him because of that. We see how Yami's first interactions go with the captains, as they're not bothered by him being a foreigner, nor him having dark magic. We see his conversation with Morgan as he opens up about finding comfort in seeing others in the brigades who are unique and different. Morgan says that it's never about the magic you have, but how you use it, which we know contradicts the common belief in the world where magic is everything. Not only as far as how much you have or how powerful it is, but also affinity and appearances are everything for the citizens. Morgan also says that Yami is a good judge of character and has the power to bring people together. As we know from how he gathered the Black Bulls, he's totally correct, and every single one of the Black Bulls had latent potential that most others were not willing to see, because the normal standards of the world just did not apply to the Black Bulls the same way it did to others. Yami brought the rowdiest people imaginable together and created a place where they could belong, with every member respecting Yami. Through this interaction, we also see how understanding and intuitive Morgan was, completely being able to understand Yami, and was someone even Yami was willing to open up to. A bit later in the chapter, we also see how well Morgan understood those around him and his relationship with others. Yami laughs off Morgan's compliments in typical Yami fashion, and instead says that Morgan is more like the type to lead people. However, the page is cut off by Morgan's tombstone, whose death is an emotional hit to Yami as well. We see Noct sulking at Morgan's grave. Yami stares him down and thinks back to something Morgan had told him, and that was how he understood Noct better than Morgan, as they both can relate to each other. Noct was an inherently ill-mannered person and was disliked. He also felt loneliness, which just caused the rift between him and others to widen more and more over time, as we saw Yami join the Magic Knights and Noct was left alone once more. Yami understood perfectly what Noct had wanted his entire life, because it's the same thing that Yami had wanted, which was a place to belong. Which is why Yami says that he'll one day create his own squad, a place where most others can belong since they don't fit within the standards of the world, but those who are outliers, loners, weren't chosen, or have sinned in the eyes of society, he wanted to make a place for people like that, and wanted to be strong enough to keep such a squad together. Yami's first encounters with each of the Black Bulls members are showcased in one great big spread. A lot of these we can recognize, like Asta at the Magic Knight's entrance exam, or Sekre being rescued by the Black Bulls, Henry laying in bed before they got their base, Ghosh escaping jail and being stopped by Yami, and Zora encountering him after beating up some people. However, there are also some that we can't recognize, like Finral, Charmy, Gordon, and Gray, where we might still get their encounters with Yami in future flashbacks. If you'd like to know more about how each member joined the Black Bulls, you can watch this video being displayed to you right now.
After this video, of course.
We then get a look at some inner monologue from Yami, where he admits that, despite his intention to try and make a place for others who have nowhere to belong, he was the one given a place to call home. It's here that we finally get to hear what Yami told his squad as he was taken away, and it's shockingly fitting, as it lines up with all of Yami's beliefs, and by extension, the beliefs of the squad. Since the very beginning, Yami has lived the way he wanted, and has never encouraged the Bulls to live any other way, so for "live as you please" to be the last words he said before being taken away, well, I can't think of anything more appropriate. Although, I'm not gonna lie, I almost kinda wish he hadn't said anything, because when that first happened in the manga, I don't know if anybody else thought this, but it was like the smile that said a million words without saying a single word at the same time. if that makes any sense.
No.
My God!
But that's just me nitpicking, to be honest. Don't mind me, this was great. Tabatas the GOAT!
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
He then thinks back to after he was taken, but before anyone came to rescue him, and the things Moris had to say about his magic, and how important it is to their agenda. He specifically says that it's a magic imbued with the power of the underworld, and that the darkness dyes the tree black, allowing them to connect the underworld with their own. He then continues on to say that Yami is the chosen one, the one destined to bring death, despair, and darkness onto the world, and all of these other words are really just more of the same he's always heard, heard. While he may not have been shunning Yami or rejecting him, he was still speaking ill of him and talking about his magic as though it's a dangerous, ugly thing that's really as ominous as it appears, which is exactly what every insult or disgusted look ever said to Yami in his heart, that he's a freak that can only hurt others. The man himself finally begins to wake up, only to find his entire base standing before him and Moris defeated, or at least out cold. He begins laughing in typical Yami fashion and asks a very telling question. He says a line that he also said back in chapter 4. Specifically, he says, "You guys like me that much, huh?" This question is telling of his development, as it shows he has come to accept that the bulls really do like him that much, that someone likes him that much. Before them, the only one to ever really make him feel this way was Julius, and one person treating you with respect is not the same as an entire family's worth of people laying down their lives for you because they love you. And oh boy, do they love their captain. They're practically in tears cheering in response. And I don't blame them. I mean, who wouldn't love this irresistible, charming, muscly Chad? I don't even care if that was sus. It's Yami. You can't tell me you don't agree.
We do not care.
Anyway, while Yami's question may have been the same one he asked from before, his response to them is very different. In chapter 4, he told them they were being annoying and to be quiet, which may sound cold, but to be fair, they were probably being really, loud and annoying. This time, however, he simply says, "So do I."
You idiots.
Showing a slightly more mushy and sentimental side to him that we normally never see. Suddenly, something begins to happen. And I don't think I'd be wrong in assuming that Moris wasn't bluffing when he said the second gate would be opening soon. In fact, I think that's exactly what's happening here at the end. Although this is Black Clover and reality can be whatever we want, there are a lot of death flags for Yami, and it just makes me really conflicted on whether or not he'll survive. If a guy like freaking Gaja can survive having a hole through his chest and then having his whole life force being burned out of him, then how in the world is Yami going to die? If Tabata does decide to kill off Yami, it would make a lot of sense, as Yami, for one, can't get his sword back, and although logically speaking, he can just go buy another one, as he had done previously, it just wouldn't hit the same as the passing of Yami's katana, now known as the Demon Slasher sword, which has been inherited by Asta. So, the most likely possibility I see coming after this is that the Tree of Glyphoth will leave Yami incapable of fighting in the future, with a big send-off fight during this arc. This would mean Yami would not have to die necessarily, but would bring consequences to the Advent, as well as it not undermining the moments he's had with Asta, or the other members. Alright, that's all we've got for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big ol' thumbs up, slash that notification bell with your anti-magic sword, and let us know what else you'd like to see. Do you think Yami will die? You better not. Either way, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what you guys think. Also, don't forget to check out our merch, link in the description and pinned comment. Do it! With that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!